the gas in the area, and they're saying that obviously the cause is still undetermined as far as what caused that explosion, but they definitely have crews responding to that building collapse and trying to figure things out right there. So even people who live, right near in the area are going to be very affected. Just in terms of living arrangements and whether or not they're going to get gas and power and all of that because of what happened at these two buildings.
Okay, we're joined now by Pablo on the phone, who was in the area. And Pablo, we understand you pulled one of the restaurant owners out of the building. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not sure it was the owner. It was the manager, or at least I was told it was the manager.
And of which restaurant?
I don't know the name of the restaurant. I was across the street in a different restaurant, and I went there when I heard the explosion.
So you were right there when this whole thing happened. Walk us through it. Did he hear something? Then he saw flames. What was it like?
No, the flames actually took a while to start, at least to be visible from outside. We heard an explosion. I rushed to the scene, and it looked like the awning or a part of the facade had fallen down, and there were a couple of guys trapped right underneath, together with, 5 or 6 other guys. We pulled him out of there, and then we helped 2 or 3 other people that worked inside to get out. Some of them had minor injuries.
Mm-hmm.
There was one called Hugo that had some glass in his mouth and had a lot of cuts in his face. It was a lot of blood.
And what have you heard since then in the neighborhood about what might have happened? What took place? What could have been the cause of it? Have you heard anything along those lines?
Well, what they said is that there was a couple of workers fixing the gas lines or working on the gas lines, and they left around 12:30 or 1. That's when a couple of them said. Other of the people working there said that they stayed there longer.
Mm-hmm.
But they said that even after those people left, that they could smell a little bit of gas.
Wow.
Yeah, that would explain a lot.
Okay, so just to be clear, Pablo, you're saying that you were told that there were some people working on gas lines earlier in the afternoon around 12:30. Is that correct?
That's what I heard, that they left around 12:30 or 1 o'clock, and even after they left, they could smell a little bit of gas.
They could smell the gas. And then this explosion happened around 3:15, and you were at a restaurant across the street, and you saw what happened?
Well, initially, part of the facade had fallen down, and we were busy taking the people that were around there, laying down the sidewalks out of there. There were also some people in the neighboring buildings trying to work on the fire exit and the fire ladders to get out. And then, I stayed with one of them. A couple of them didn't speak English, and I helped translate it with the medical services.
Okay. So
and once the firefighters arrived, they started going into the building, and then a second part of the building collapsed. But I think that all the firefighters got out.
So you were there when the building collapsed, Pablo?
Yes, I was.
So, Pablo, we're getting reports of about 12 injuries roughly and 3 critical. And I believe I heard you say that when you went over to help out some of the workers that were there, you saw one that had glass in his mouth?
He had multiple cuts, glass in his mouth. He was actually vomiting, and he vomited a little bit of glass and some other stuff. And probably he had a collarbone broken because he couldn't move his arm. The rest of the people that were working with him seemed to be fine with minor cuts and superficial cuts and injuries.
Now, when you were there, did anyone indicate to you that there were others inside of the establishment?
I don't know. The people that were working there were, first I was with one of the cooks and the manager. Then I met the other 4 or 5 guys that were actually looking for the 2 of them. So that makes me think that all the people got out, at least the workers, that they knew each other.
And Pablo, I'm just starting to see reports that people heard a second blast within the past 5 minutes or so in that area. Have you heard anything like that?
No, I didn't. Probably when the building collapsed, maybe they confused it with another blast, but I didn't. Actually, I got out of the scene 10 minutes ago because I couldn't help anything else. So.
Right. Pablo, when you were helping those folks who were at that establishment, did you happen to notice any of the other shopkeepers or anybody else nearby trapped or trying to get out?
I saw a lady, probably in her 30s, in one of the balconies trying to work a fire ladder to get out.
Right.
And there were a few folks that were helping her to get out. People immediately started screaming to the people in the neighboring buildings out from the street into the buildings to get out quickly. But I don't know.
So you did hear people, though, that were inside of the apartment buildings trying to get out?
Yes.
Wow. But you don't know at this point if everyone got out, or I know you said someone was trying to work the stairs, the fire escape.
No, I don't know, because I was helping the medical crew to move some people out of the scene, and I stayed with one of them, and we moved 2 blocks down. So.
Right, and that's definitely consistent with everything we're seeing emerge online here, because it does appear all the injuries, that injury count keeps going up, and it does appear that they're all people who would have just been in the area, in the building at the time, because at this point there's no reports of any members of the FDNY being hurt fighting this again, and not too difficult to imagine, that it would be the scenario of people in the area unaware, suddenly this massive blast takes shape, and there's nowhere to go, and a lot of people could get hurt in that situation. Again, we're up to now 12 injured, 3 critical, we're told, and it's unfortunately not too hard to imagine that number going up. All right, looks like Sharon Crowley is on street level. Thank you, Pablo. She is joined by a couple more people, presumably, who are in the area, and it looks like one of the guys has a camera and got some shots on that. So, Sharon, what are the people you're joined by now telling you?
Well, I'm joined by Tina and Maxim. They're from Belgium. They're tourists here to New York City, and they were right in front of the explosion, or right near it, seconds after it happened. Maxim, let's start with you. You saw a rescue occur, so tell us what you heard, what you saw.
Yeah, there was a girl standing on the stairs, and she couldn't move, and she couldn't get away from the building. And there was a guy climbing up the stairs and rescuing the girl.
And did she get out safely?
Yeah, she did.
Where were you when this happened? How close were you to the building?
We were, I think, just 1 block away. We were eating an ice cream, and then we heard an explosion, and we first thought it was, you never know in New York. So we went away, but we saw people rescuing other people in the building, and then we get a bit closer.
And what did you see when you got closer? What does it look like?
Yeah, first you didn't see anything, just an explosion and some torched iron. But then actually there was some smoke coming out, and the guy was running on the stairs, and then opening up the windows, and then all the smoke was coming outside the building. Yeah.
So Tina, did you hear people yelling, and did you see people?
No, we didn't hear anyone. Just we saw the girl on the stairs, and that was it.
And what was going through your mind when you heard this loud noise and you saw? Were you worried?
So we were eating an ice cream, so we took all our bags, we ran outside, and then everyone said that we had to run away. So I ran away, but he was still there, and then he said, "Oh, come, there was nothing really happening." Then we came there, and then we saw what was actually happening.
And were you nervous considering the world we're living in?
Yeah, a little.
How about you, Maxim?
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
So you took some pictures. We're going to attempt, Stephen Derry, for my photographer, Dave Rosenfeld, to actually zoom in on the picture of the rescue of the woman. If you point your camera toward Dave, if you bear with us, it might be blurry for our viewers for a second, but we'll try to show you. And what are we seeing in this picture, Maxim?
The guy helping the girl coming out of the stairs, from the stairs, yeah.
And that's the first building that caught...
That's the first building, and then it got fire, and then it collapses, and then the second building and the third building, I think, yeah.
And it must have been a pretty frightening experience for you to be traveling here from Belgium to be so close to something like this happening.
Yeah, of course, but you never know, yeah. We just went by 10 minutes earlier, so yeah, and we saw a little bar, a pommes frites with Belgian fries, so I told Tina, yeah, here's some nice place, and then we went to eat some ice, and then the explosion happened.
All right, well, Maxim and Tina, I'm glad you're safe, and thank you for showing us that. If you'll stand by for just a second. So, Derry and Steve, there are literally, as I said before, hundreds of people around this very crowded street on 2nd Avenue near St. Mark's and 7th Street when this explosion happened, and certainly there are a lot of people with stories to tell today. I'll send it back to you in the studio for now, and we'll try to reach out to some other eyewitnesses today.
Yeah, Sharon, question